Casting from the basement of La Penta, this is WICR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe and Big Shot Rob. We could not contain our excitement from the national championship yesterday, so we broke into the studio. Lots of glass everywhere. Just kidding. We did not break into the studio. We have the keys. They let us in. We had to do a show. Just what a great game last night. I mean, we all wanted the college football playoff. We were on every single Monday going over every single game, and it was just fantastic. The final games we had, it was a great season for college football, was it not, Rob?
Oh, it was awesome, Joe. I have to say, I got so much more interested this year due to the college football playoff. I think it's the greatest thing, and it's going to continue for years. It's just so exciting. 2 games, and it's awesome.
It really is. Like, I literally was just pacing back and forth between the halls before the Florida State and the Oregon game, then the Ohio State game, and then last night. I mean, it creates such an excitement, the build-up. People have just been waiting for these games for weeks, and then they finally came. It was just incredible, and it's a great wrap to the season. And you've got to give all the credit to Ohio State, because before this thing all started, I think no one was picking Ohio State. I mean, how could you? I mean, how many teams would have the ability to overcome the injuries of not one, but 2 of their quarterbacks? Braxton Miller goes down days before the season starts. It's okay. You've got J.T. Barrett. Incredible. He could have been a Heisman contender. Legit. He was terrific. Then he goes down at the end of your season, and who do you turn to? Cardale Jones. We didn't know what the heck this kid was going to turn into, but let me tell you what Cardale Jones did. Beat Wisconsin 59-0, beat Alabama 42-35, and then beat Oregon 42-20 in the national championship game. Rob, what can you say about this guy?
Kid is tremendous.
Outstanding.
And, if he stays with Ohio State, they have a great future ahead. They could probably win another national championship. This kid has the arm. He could throw it 50 yards. He could run the ball. He's so smart, knows what to do at the line, knows what to do with his running backs. And this kid's going to be great.
He's just so much. His arm strength is ridiculous. I mean, I think I was reading something about his teammates and him in practice where he was throwing the ball like 70 yards on one knee. I mean, he is just a freakish athlete. All you need to see how dynamic of a playmaker he is in that game on 3rd down. Oregon they got a good push off the line, but this kid just 250 pounds of just pure muscle. You could not take him down. It didn't matter if you had 2, 3 guys. If it was a 3rd and 2, you weren't taking him down. All you needed to do was put him ahead, and I mean, he's just incredible. And think about it. This kid could be a starting quarterback for any other program in the country. He's that good. He throws the ball that good enough. His deep ball, I mean, incredible. I thought at the beginning I did a stand-up with Anthony Carl at the Western Knicks game, and the first thing I said, the thing that worried me the most about Oregon was, can they stop the deep ball from Cardale Jones? Because Wisconsin couldn't do it. Alabama couldn't do it. If those 2 couldn't do it, I don't know how Oregon was going to do it, and they did not. The deep ball, he just kills it.
Yeah, he really did, Joe. And you have to think of it, going into that situation, how nerve-wracking that must be. You get called upon into the Big Ten championship, Joe, and just coming out winning that game, you beat Alabama, and then to end it all beating Oregon. This kid, that is just amazing to do. In 3 games, that is amazing what he has done.
Know what impresses me even more about him is the 4 turnovers. Unfazed by them. I mean, this kid just kept, and I think reasonably so. I mean, Oregon showed no indication at all at any point in that game that they could stop them, but they didn't play well, but they kept coming away with turnovers. It seemed like momentum was going to shift several times, but it did not. Cardale Jones just got back up, and he just played. He just outplayed them. I mean, Oregon had no answer, and I said this a couple months ago. I put it out in a tweet last night. If you watched Oregon this year, they had 2 glaring holes. The offensive line and then their defense. The defense struggled all year against quality teams getting stops, especially on 3rd down. I think you saw last night that both those cases were very much so. Let's jump to the offensive line for a minute, though, Rob, because we all understand that a staple of the Oregon Ducks is running the football. Running the football early sets up an easier 2nd and 3rd down. This is a team that rarely gets deep in trouble in 3rd down. They're usually 3rd downs are very manageable. 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and they really have a lot of plays that they can get to. But they didn't have those options last night because they just got crushed, physically outmatched by Ohio State.
Their line could not hold up, could not protect Mariota whatsoever, Joe. And we even look at the running game, Joe. This is an Oregon team that usually averages over 200 yards, held to 132 yesterday. And if you can't get the running game started for Oregon, you're in a really bad place.
And here's what you really need to know is Royce Freeman is Oregon's most probably their most physical player on their team, but as their running back, he's the undisputed, just most dynamic physical runner they have. In that game, he just couldn't get anything going. He looked lost in that game. None of their running backs could get anything going, and you just saw that really because here's the weird thing about Oregon, Rob, is I really thought they were in good shape because they went right down the field, imposed their will, their tempo. It looked a lot like Ohio State had no match for them. They ran the ball. Then it seemed like the second possession, the missed 3rd down, lost a little bit of momentum. Then the 3rd possession where they had another big drop on 3rd down, just sunk everything they had. It seemed like after that, the physical just nature of Ohio State was too much for them to handle.
It was too much, Joe. Too many miscues also in this game, Joe. We look at some passes. In the first quarter, Mariota throws a 40-yard bomb to Dwayne Stanford. Dwayne Stanford has nobody around him, drops it wide open. They messed up they didn't go for a field goal. They go for it on 4th down. They should have went for the field goal in that part, but the wide receivers could not catch the ball for anything yesterday. In this Oregon team, I really didn't expect this out of them.
I thought this was going to be a coin flip. I thought Ohio State and Oregon each had an equal chance to win this game. I just thought at the end of the day it was probably going to be who has the ball last. But that was not the case, and it seemed like maybe at a point after halftime, Oregon was back in the game. But I just thought not being able to convert on those. We were talking earlier about this when early in the game where Oregon went for it on 4th down off of a turnover and they didn't get any points. I thought that was killer because that's kind of their nature. They're unwilling to kick field goals when they get that deep into your territory. And I think in that situation with that momentum, you just had to get the points because your offense hadn't really been playing that great at that point. I think you just really needed the points. Coming up empty on that part, I thought was just really devastating.
Yeah, that's a killer. It kind of reminded me of 2 years ago when Seattle played Atlanta in the AFC divisional round, and Pete Carroll didn't go for the field goal, went for it on 4th down. Seattle ended up losing by 3 points. We look at this game. If Oregon goes for that 3 points, you switch the total momentum of that game. I mean, yes, they did get the ball back the following possession off a Ohio State turnover, but you go for the field goal. You go to shift the momentum, get your team back into the game, and Oregon failed to do that.
They did. Now, we've talked a lot about Oregon, and let's go to Marcus Mariota specifically because, Rob, you know how big of a Marcus Mariota fan I am, but it's been a question that's been asked a lot, and I think it's fair to bring up on the air is, did this performance from him, from the Ducks, let's say from Marcus, did it change kind of your opinion of him as a potential NFL quarterback?
I mean, I changed a little bit, but I still see him as that dynamic player. I think you put him on an NFL team with great wide receivers, this kid's going to be a great player. Hands down.
I think the thing with Marcus is, I think, is there a little bit of red flags? Yes, but they were the same red flags I've had all along. I think with Marcus, it's going to be, he's going to work. It's not like he's going to come in and just, this is what he is. He's going to get better. He's going to work at it. I think put him in a position to succeed, and he'll be fine. I look at Russell Wilson a lot. I know size-wise there's not a lot to compare with, but I just think athletically they share a lot of things. And then the one thing that you can't take away from anybody is being smart. When you're smart, it doesn't matter if you're in sports, if you're in business, if you're in education, you figure things out. Given the time, if you work at it, you're going to figure it out. I think that's the case with Marcus Mariota. He will figure it out. He will work at it. Let's say Tampa Bay picks him at 1. I don't know if they will. Maybe they take Jameis Winston. But let's say they do. You got Mike Evans. You got Vincent Jackson. You've got a pretty good head coach. I think Lovey's a pretty good coach. He's got a not bad defense. Not bad running back. Doug Martin, not a great year. We could get to that another time. But I think Marcus Mariota, it's all going to be put him in the right system, give him the right pieces, he's going to be fine. Because let's talk about Russell Wilson for a minute. I love Russell Wilson. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. You put Russell Wilson on the Browns, not the same quarterback. Put them in a situation where they can succeed, and it will all work out.
And the thing about it, you made a good point. He's just as smart as Wilson. When you look at Russell Wilson, Joe, Wilson's not an outstanding quarterback, that 40-touchdown quarterback. The guy just has that smart of an IQ, where to throw the ball, what to do on what downs. And Mariota has that IQ. And you know what? If he goes to Tampa, that's a perfect fit right away for him. Mike Evans coming off a terrific first year, and Vincent Jackson. And Lovie Smith's going to work him hard, and he'll get him to help revamp that Tampa team.
And that's why I think we'll go to Jameis Winston now then, because it seems like that's the whole thing now, is everyone comparing the two, and everybody agrees, and I agree. His talent is higher than Marcus right now, but talent is not the ultimate, the be-all, end-all when it comes to the NFL. If talent was the be-all, end-all, why is Jamarcus Russell not playing in the NFL? That guy could throw the ball 70 yards laying down on the ground, but you know why he didn't? Because he was lazy, because he didn't work hard, he couldn't stay out of trouble, he just didn't. A lot of people say, and they say this about Johnny Manziel, his worst enemy this year was the playbook. That's not going to be a problem with Marcus Mariota. I just think when you're smart, you know what your weaknesses are more than anything, and you style your game to kind of cater to that. I think he's aware of that. Very self-aware kid. He knows what he can do, what he can't do, what he needs to work on. It's just, I mean, it's easy. Smart people figure it out. Marcus Mariota is a smart kid. He's going to figure it out. But let's say this, Rob. He's eligible to come back one more year. We were having a conversation about this. Part of me could actually see him coming back, but I don't know. I mean, the money is hard to run away from, but is there a party that thinks maybe he's coming back?
I think he could return back.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You go all the way to the championship, you lose, and you kind of have that gut feeling still. I still want that. You still have that hunger. And that's what a real champion wants. And you know what? I really wouldn't be surprised if he comes back, because you know what? A lot of people leave college, I'm going in for the money. But this kid Mariota looks like he's hungry to go back for a championship. I honestly could see him coming back.
I could too. Look, he finished his last 2 classes this year, golf and yoga. Not too bad. All we'd really have to do is worry about football. And you got to think, at the start of the season, the preseason poll, number 1 and 2 is going to be Ohio State, Oregon. So, I mean, you really could be right back in the same spot you were in. I mean, the one thing I did talk to somebody about, though, and it was a good point, is how could he get any better? I mean, his season was off the charts. I mean, 52 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the regular season. You can't get much better than that, but I still think, part of me I have a feeling in my gut, we might not be seeing the last of Marcus Mariota at Oregon. And it would be interesting, too, because maybe then Mark Helfrich could improve the offense a little bit more to cater to what the NFL would be looking for, because he's only going to get better from here. He really is.
He is, and one thing he has to do right away for Oregon, build the offensive line. If Mariota comes back, he needs an offensive line. We see what he could do when he has time, and he didn't have that much time yesterday versus Ohio State, which was a huge issue. Right away, defensive backs are right on him, and you know what? You're not going to win when your line breaks down like that.
You are not. The 2 biggest holes, said them earlier, offensive line and the defense. Very apparent in that game. They were physically outmatched by Ohio State. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will kind of praise Urban Meyer. We'll get down on the floor. We'll bow down to him, because I got to be honest, folks, I've been saying it for so long. Rob, I know, agrees. Best coach in college football. Maybe in the top 2 best coaches of college football of all time. But we will be right back, so stay with us.